We are joined with a sister in the house.
Woo!
We are going to be chatting about sickle cell.
Sickle cell is the fastest growing genetic condition. It didn't really hit that, this thing is deadly. I just didn't know if she was gonna turn 10. It's not something I've completely healed from. My sister passing has had such a ripple effect on me because now this is my life now.
Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Renee.
And I'm Courtney, and we are your online sisters. Hold
I'm
up.
Shayo.
Hold up. We haven't had a guest in a minute. This is Shayo. Wow, we are joined with a sister in the house.
Woo! Hello, everybody.
We, us three, are your online sisters and hosts of today's episode of the To My Sisters podcast. And we are going to be chatting about sickle cell.
Yay!
Sickle cell, yes, because we don't talk about it enough in our community. There are still so many myths that a lot of us hold that we might have inherited from our parents, that we may just ignorance, child. And so we are with the one and the only Shayo. What do we even say about you?
Oh, wow. I want to hear what you want to say about me first
Okay.
of all. I don't want to put words in
Let
your
me
mouth.
romance you.
Come on,
Yes,
small.
A poet.
Yeah.
A content creator.
Come on.
Yeah.
I would actually call you a comedian.
Oh.
Yes, do you know what? It took me a while to embrace that title because I've never done stand-up. But I've been talking to my imaginary audience all the time and they love me, child.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'll be great at it. Do you know what I mean?
Completely
But yes,
agree.
comedian as well.
Comedian.
Period.
And sickle cell awareness advocate.
Yeah.
Correct.
You are so dynamic in the content that you create and the journey you've taken us on since you started content creation online, which you shared all the multi-talented gifts that you have, but also your story with sickle cell and your family. And we just want to delve into that, your story, why you think awareness is important, and how we as a community of women, but also people who want to start families or people who are supporting people with sickle cell or people who have sickle cell, what we can do as a community to move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
coming.
having me. Honestly, I got my comfortable. I already got my feet out and
Come on,
everything. Like, I
periods.
love that for
This
me.
is home. This is home.
I think the Black community do a really good job at being there for each other. I think I really want to kind of like start with that because there have been record numbers of people from Black heritage backgrounds donating blood in recent years. You know, even though there is still, the NHS still need about like 16,000 new Black blood donors. It's because sickle cell is the fastest growing genetic condition in the UK. And so of course there's going to be more demands because more people are being born with the condition. And so that's something that I think conversations, as cliche as and as oversimplistic as it sounds, conversations can go a really, really long way. And I'm speaking from experience because when my sister passed away, it was a condition that I had only kind of heard about, but not really, my parents didn't sit us down and speak to us about what this condition is. And mind you, I was a teenager. I would have understood, you know. But I think what my parents were doing is they saw it as more so their responsibility. You know, they saw it as something that they didn't want to, for lack of a better word, kind of like burden or put any sort of extra responsibility beyond, you know, the expected sibling care and, you know, empathy and love, etc. on us whilst, you know, I was going through my GCSEs at the time. So trying to maneuver grief, like my first actual like experience of like a heartbreak, whilst, you know, trying to be like, you know, high achieving academically and stuff. It was really, really difficult. But I think my form of kind of like escapism I channeled myself into my studies even more when my sister passed, because that was the only thing that I could distract myself with, you know, for as long as I was able and needed to distract myself with it. And I think that's why I did quite well with my GCSEs, because I just like, it was just escapism, you know. I was like, okay, like I need to channel I need something to distract myself with. So I think, generally speaking, the Black community are very good at showing up for each other.
Yeah.
Obviously there's so many ways that we can do better, and but what community doesn't? Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't need to be so harsh on ourselves. It's not the lack of blood donation and blood donors, etc., isn't often for lack of desire. There's a lot of technicalities, and there's a lot of requirements that need to be met, that disproportionately almost kind of will impact the majority of people who we need more donations from. For example, if you've gone to Nigeria within the last 3 or 6 months or so, you're not able to donate. How many Nigerians are going to Nigeria? Do you know what I mean? So that's already cutting off so many people who want to donate from donating. There are, if you have low iron, there was one time where I went to donate, I think maybe like a few years ago. Child, my iron was so low, they banned me from donating for a year. I was like,
not to get your iron.
It can't be that bad. You know what I mean?
I'm still breathing.
My blood not
you know what I
obvious.
mean? I'll take a cheeky sea moss gummy. I'll take a cheeky sea moss gel. I'll increase my iron a year.
Wow.
But and especially with women as well, you need to align your donation within outside of your cycle. And that was my mistake. I went to the donation center, hadn't had breakfast, barely had any water, was on my cycle, and I hadn't eaten. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't ban me for any longer, to be honest with you, because I was feeling quite faint. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not gonna tell them that,
A sacrificial lamb.
You know what I mean? No,
so take my last.
No, honestly, but I think just having those conversations in a way that is easily digestible to the person and cater to the person that you're trying to have the conversation with. I know that the conversations that I'll be having when I'm at events and charity events and things like that with a sickle cell specialist or someone who lives with the condition or someone who's advocating for the condition is different to the kind of conversations that I'm going to be having with someone who has never heard of sickle cell, or someone who has only heard about it in passing, because we have this habit of speaking of things relating to health, especially within our community, as this kind of conspiracy of silence. It's we kind of know about it, but no one is really gonna say it. And so when things like that happen, it creates a culture of silence and shame. And a lot of people who are living with sickle cell, who are living with the condition, they don't speak out about it, as is their prerogative. It's not by force. If you don't, it's your medical history at the end of the day. No one is entitled to that information.
Right.
But when we're talking about advocacy and the importance of getting people to understand this condition so that we can, so people are making more informed decisions when it comes to things like family planning. And that's not to say that everyone has the privilege sometimes to even be able to family plan. Sometimes I wasn't planned.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so sometimes it's just about having those conversations and letting it not be something that is said in hushed tones. I don't have sickle cell, and I'm always talking about it.
Right.
I'm not even a carrier, and I'm always talking about it. When I'm dating, I'm asking people, what is your, do you know your genotype? Do you know your blood type? You know what I mean? So for me, it's just about putting it into practice, those things that are important, because for me, I'm not even sure if I want children, biologically, so if for me, it's these things really do matter, because I've seen what sickle cell can do. I've felt what sickle cell can be, and that's as someone who is just loving somebody who lives with the condition. That's not even from the perspective of someone living with the condition.
I think what's so beautiful about what you've just shared is we can see that passion, and like you said, that passion comes from that first-hand experience of loving someone and caring for someone. So could you tell us, for those who may not know you or may have just encountered your amazing content online, which brings so many people joy. I can't lie to you. Like when I first started following you and I discovered you on this, I said, yo, no, but I reject that.
No. Insert his
But when I had the privilege of you coming up on my feed, I was like, this girl is hilarious. The poetry was flamed. And genuinely, there was a time where you had everyone on the internet in a chokehold. And like with your poems and just your amazing like videos and stuff like that. So for people who maybe know you from that realm, can you please backtrack a bit and tell us a bit about your story and growing up and the story of your sister as well?
Okay. So thank you. COVID was such a wild time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. COVID. Like sometimes I'll be walking and I'll just like, damn, COVID was actually, that was real. Like that was actually
not allowed to
crazy.
go outside.
That was crazy. So for me, everything kind of started when a man and a woman love each other. Kidding, joking.
Oh, we going that far? Okay, we going far back.
No, I'm joking.
Okay.
No. So for me, everything kind of started with my platform, etc. During lockdown. Obviously, I was already on Instagram beforehand and stuff. You know, like I was a performance poet beforehand. But then I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus after uni. I was very very existential. And so I just kind of like retreated into like the mundane of work, home, enjoyment every now and then. But then I was like, no, do you know what? Like I want to get back into performance poetry. Like I really miss this. Like I'm a poet. It's what I love doing, right? Lockdown. Pandemic.
Interruption.
No, it was crazy. Mind you, I was doing my master's at the time. So I was doing my master's and it was during my master's actually that I was like, do you know what? No, like I really want to get back into this because there was a module in my course, Global Media and Communications, that was focused on meme culture. Oh God, I was hooked.
Very interesting.
I was hooked because for me, like being able to convey so much meaning, so much context in just an image, out of context image, and maybe like a few words or sometimes no words. For me, that's crazy. So I started learning more about the history of memes, etc. And so I was like, this is so fun. So that's what kind of like reignited my passion for it. And obviously the pandemic hit, and I was like, obviously wasn't able to perform in person because everyone was locked up. They would not let us out, you know? So I thought, okay, cool. Well, like if I can't perform in person, then let me just do whatever online, you know? Like I was releasing things online before anyway, so let me just kind of pick that back up. So I was in the middle of writing an assignment, and then it just hit me. I was just like, when will I like one thing about me, I will until my throat is so like
you know.
I love to enjoy myself. And obviously COVID, that was one of the things that COVID, you know, took away from us. One of the obviously like the more social things, it took away a lot more important things, you know, like people literally died. And so having to navigate that in a way that was sensitive to, you know, those who unfortunately passed, but in a way that was still kind of like helpful in a way to everyone still going through all of this uncertainty was a bit difficult. But then it just came to me. So I started writing this random little poem jingle thing with my little sister in the background, and she was like, oh girl, okay. I was just like, right. So I recorded it quickly, put my phone down, posted it, put my phone down, went back to my assignment. I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. All of a sudden, my phone is hot. Notifications left, right, and center. I'm thinking, what's going on? Did I post a nude by mistake? Because you know, sometimes like when you're not, it's like, I haven't posted.
Like, which one did I post?
What did I post?
Oh my God, it was in the drafts.
What did I post?
It was in the drafts.
Oh, damn. I said, no, let me not embarrass my family today. So I was like, and then I saw the post doing well. I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, like, if you like this, then you're gonna love what it is I got to offer, because that was just a random
off the dome
kind of like thing that I didn't even think about, you know. And so that was what kind of like encouraged me to kind of to capture, like, to just live, to enjoy the serendipity of things, you know, like not overthink things and just do things off the cuff and just enjoy it, you know. And so that was kind of how it started. So from then I was just putting out more content and satirizing different events. Some things I may not, shouldn't have, what's the grammar?
Oh, Lord.
I should may
Shakespeare,
not have. No, because
Shakespeare, where art thou?
Honestly, some things may have, you know, like, could have done without satirizing. But that's something that, you know, like you learn, you develop, you know, different, like my sense of humor, my ability to compartmentalize is different to how other people can compartmentalize, you know? And so it's just about being open to like the feedback of your audience and the people that you trust and things like that, and be like, okay, cool. Like I know a different way to go about this. I know blah, blah, blah. And so that's something that I've just kind of like been working on. But yeah, no, like it started from that one random video and it's just snowballed into the platform that I have now. But even before I had this platform, I've been advocating about sickle cell. I've been talking about blood donation, you know, like when I had my 1,500, 2,000 followers, I was still like, so sickle cell. Do you know your blood type? You know, like I was still very much talking about it because it's something that I had been dealing with since I was like 15. You know, like since losing my sister, it's constantly been on my mind, because obviously I have another sister, Rebecca, who is very much like, she has sickle cell as well. And so the bond that I have with her is like, I'm the only one who knows Rebecca for who Rebecca really is, you know, like having that kind of like sisterhood. But like I shared a bed with this girl, I backed this girl, I almost breastfed this girl. Like what? I was like, I was like, you are my child. You are like, there is no sister. You're my child. You're my baby. You know. So, like having her in my care, like I'm very, very attached to her, and she is to me, because that's intentionally how I wanted it to be. I don't want her to feel like, oh, I'm the only one in the family left with sickle cell. I didn't want her to feel like it's something that she needs to go through by herself. Of course, I don't know exactly what it feels like, but that does not stop me from empathizing with her, because every time she's in hospital, I'm in hospital. Every time she's crying, I'm crying, because if I cry, she cries. If she cries, I cry, you know? So like just having that connection with her and wanting the best for her, and knowing how much she benefits from blood donation. You know, she goes for blood exchanges every 3 weeks to 4 weeks, right? So that's a lot of blood to be going through. And so for me, it doesn't make sense to have a sister who benefits from the generosity and the selflessness of people within our community, because obviously blood is matched. Typically it's matched, you know, like there's more compatibility when blood is matched racially than otherwise. So knowing that my sister benefits from the generosity and the selflessness of, you know, Black blood donors, how can I then not be a blood donor myself? How can I not advocate for that as well? Something that I have seen like the impact of, and it's not even just people with sickle cell that blood donation benefits. You know, it's pregnant women who have had difficult labors. It's people who have blood cancer, people who have bone cancer. Like there were so many uses and needs for ethnically matched blood that it just does not make sense to me to not be a blood donor and to not, you know, like advocate for it, especially with my context, you know?
Absolutely. No, that's so beautiful. And can I just say, it's so beautiful to hear somebody with such a powerful platform advocating for good. If there's one thing that you probably know on the internet streets, folks that have, you know, rescinded their podcast licenses, folks that have come online to use their platform for very interesting things.
Very.
It is so refreshing to hear from someone like you who is able to toe the line between obviously bringing so much joy to the internet, but then at the same time being able to educate us on something that actually is very pertinent to our community. So wonderful to hear you speak so articulately about it as well, because again, so many of us be on the internet talking about stuff that we need to do a little bit more research on.
For the first day, who's doing
it's like people be dying out here talking about going 50-50 still in 2025. I hope that we can put that down by 2026.
Let's put it to rest.
But I wanted to talk a little bit more about your relationship with your sister / your sisters.
Thing to talk about.
And I think it's really giving me, you know, the term my sister's keeper.
Yeah.
It's very much evoking that. Yeah. So I would love to know, what are some of the biggest learnings and lessons that you have learned from your sisters?
Oh my goodness. You know that thing, whereby you guys have siblings, right?
Yes.
Younger siblings?
Yeah.
When did you first realize that your younger sibling was starting to become an adult, like starting to become their own person?
Scary. When they started going to uni.
Yeah.
What's
going on here?
I asked you to get me something, you're not saying no.
It's crazy. Like I think I first realized that Becky was like becoming her own person kind of recently, actually. Like she's 15 now, but I think it more so kind of like was cemented to me that, this girl has her own, like she has her like
her own mind.
She's her own, and it is such a beautiful, beautiful mind. I first realized when, like I said recently, when she started her GCSEs. So I was kind of like in the background when she was revising, and she's coming up with all, like, she's talking about things that I'm just like, that's adult. Like, what are you, like, that's grown folk stuff. Like, why do you know about homeostasis?
Yeah.
Why do you know about this? I'm just like, wait, she's literally like almost, she's a teenager. Like, of course. And then I was like, because she's still my baby girl. Like, she's still my baby sister, as my brother is still my baby brother. Like, you are a child, you know? But like, obviously, like, realizing that she is becoming her own person and she's, you know, like forming her own identity, and she's trying to explore her sense of self and, you know, like understand herself as it relates to, you know, not just in like the micro of our family, but like in the macro of the world, you know, like understanding herself and her role in, you know, like in society, and, you know, like navigating her identity as an African woman, you know, as like a Black woman. Like it was just so interesting. So like in my head, she's still that little buck tooth, no tooth having girl that, like, there was a time where I called her the hippo. Because her teeth, she was so,
the resilience that you build at home.
She was so hippo-esque. It was crazy. Like, and even with that as well, like, children with sickle cell, people with sickle cell develop later. They have delayed development. So there was a time when, you know, like, she had lost her teeth. None of them were growing back. None of them were growing back.
That is tough.
Yeah, like, they just weren't growing back quickly enough.
That is
and so I was just like, I was looking at her teeth. I was just like, I'm like, and obviously because I understand sickle cell, I was just like, this is definitely a developmental delay because of, you know, like sickle cell and stuff like that. Like, obviously people with sickle cell, especially young girls, they sometimes, it's not a surprise if they have delayed puberty, you know.
Right.
And so like understanding just how much sickle cell impacts, even let's take it outside of pain, just developmentally, you know, like physically, the way they develop, you know, like my sister is very, very tall now, and she literally went from like looking up to me to now looking down on me. Like, she is like a whole neck and a head taller than me. Mind you, I'm 5'1", but I identify as 6 foot. So don't question it. I'm 5'1", but I identify as 6 foot.
You've got 6 foot energy.
No, do you know what I mean? Whenever people see me in real life, I'm just like, you're not short.
But it's always the shortest people.
It's always,
it's always the short people that carry.
We actually have to take up space with our.
You must.
Some way, somehow, because it's Otherwise, people will just be flinging
You'll
their
get
hair in our
lost.
faces while we're walking next to them, which has literally happened to me. A friend of mine literally was brushing her hair and she discarded the hair
On you.
on me, and then she looked down. She's like, "Oh, sorry."
Didn't see you
down
there.
there. I didn't see
Why
you
would
down
I
there.
not identify as 6 foot when people are throwing weave on in my face? Let's be so for real, you know? But like, yeah, like understanding that sickle cell impacts people's lives, developmentally, like physically, it's something that I'm like, wow, like this is not something that we can afford to not talk about, because if it is costing people their like if it's costing people their development and it's slowing down their physical development, then this is something we really need to pay a lot of attention to, you know? Like I was only privy to you know, like a better understanding of the delayed puberty impact of sickle cell when I think in like one of the more recent blood exchanges that my sister had at the hospital at St. Mary's, when I brought it up to the nurse, that I said, like, I've noticed that a lot of people with sickle cell have really long legs. And then she was like, oh yeah, it's because of, I forgot exactly the medical jargon, but she said that, yeah, it's people with sickle cell often experience delayed puberty. And so when they finally do reach it, like they'll go through puberty, but it's just a lot slower. It's not like they don't experience it at all, but it's just slower, you know? So when they do experience it, they often get like a growth spurt.
Okay.
That girl shot up. Like she was so, her growth spurt was so like, every time, because I was living outside of the home as well. So every time I was seeing her, every time she was coming to see me, I was just like, okay.
A foot again?
No, literally like, like when will you stop growing, you know? But like she's grown into this like beautiful, amazing, intelligent, witty, charismatic, charming, very headstrong, very self-aware young woman. And like it's just an honor to be able to experience that, because I didn't get the chance to do so with Elizabeth, with my other sister, you know. So that's something that I still struggle to kind of like come to terms with, because not too long ago I went round to my neighbor's house, and I was just gisting, catching up some neighborhood gist and gossip. Oh my gosh, there's so much drama in my neighborhood.
Period. I love that.
Because her son was in the same year as my sister, so seeing her son there, like, you know, like grown up, having like a mustache and beard and everything, I'm just like I wonder what my sister would have looked like, you know, like I wonder what interests she would have developed. I wonder what could have been, you know. And so it's like having that perpetually like on my mind is something that it's difficult to come to terms with, because I shared a bedroom with all 3 of my sisters. I was the one. I shared a bedroom with my oldest sister, with, you know, Elizabeth, with Becky as well. So it's like I'm kind of like the thread that ties all of them that has that kind of connection with all of them. And so for me, like the relationship that I have with them is a lot more, especially because they're my younger sisters as well. You know, I'm very protective over them. So realizing that Becky is like growing up, and, you know, like she's expressing more desires, and she's expressing more things that she wants from life and stuff, you know. And it's like, okay, like I want to make sure that nothing stops her from getting these things, from achieving this, you know. Like there is absolutely no way that I am going to live a life better than what she is gonna, like, I just can't, just know, like I want her to do everything that I've done and even more, you know. Like I want her to come back and tell me, oh my God, so I did this, I did that, blah, blah. And I was just like, wow, like I wouldn't have even, like, I didn't even know that was possible, you know what I mean? And so living with a condition like sickle cell that can take away so much, that can be so debilitating, because I know people who have had strokes, who have had limb death, who have become amputees because of the different effects the sickle cell has on the body. Like it's like I'm constantly like towing the line between like, okay, cool, I want her to do this. I want her to be this extroverted person. I want her to do all this. But then at the same time, it's like, oh, her health. I want to make sure that she's not over exhausting herself, which is something she used to do a lot. She used to experience a lot as a child because it's children. Children are going to play. Children are going to, you know. But yeah, it's something that I'm always kind of like, I always have in mind because I just don't want her to live a life limited by anything, you know, not the way society treats her because she's a woman, not the way society treats her because she's African, not the way society treats her because of, you know, because of her condition. I don't want anything to like limit her. And so I just want her to live. I just want her to live. I just want her to live. Like, I just want to see her alive. That's literally it, you know?
That's so beautiful.
So yeah.
Wow, that is such a beautiful thing. I think the way you described your sister was actually so powerful. And I can imagine for a lot of people who are experiencing sickle cell, it may not feel as empowering, you know, because there are so many things that you may feel like your condition actually inhibits you from doing. And I'm just mindful that some people listening to this may have heard of sickle cell, like heard sickle cell, the phrase. They might have watched Supercell, and that's the first time they heard of sickle cell. But what is sickle cell?
Okay.
And what are some of the ways that it does? You were mentioning about the developmental delay and things like that. What are some of the ways it can impact people?
So sickle cell is a hereditary or genetic blood condition that is not exclusive to, but predominantly affects and is seen in people of African and Caribbean heritage. More so within like West African, more so within West Africans, but just generally around the continent you can find it, but again it's more so within West Africa. So it's a condition that affects the shape of healthy hemoglobin, of healthy blood cells. So a blood cell is, you know, is round and has that indent in the middle, so to allow, you know, like oxidation and all these other things, and for it to be able to move flexibly through the body. But sickle cell, people who have sickle cell, their blood is shaped like a sickle. So it's jagged, it's not smooth, it's not round, it's like an incomplete blood cell. And so because of this, it causes, it makes blood flow very difficult around the body. So people with sickle cell experience something called crisis episode. So a sickle cell crisis is when a part of the body is not it's not receiving blood properly and is not well oxygenated, because obviously blood carries oxygen. So people experience really, really terrible, chronic, often pain. And a crisis can happen at any part of the body where blood is needed. So my sister's case, she used to have crisis episodes more so in her back, her legs, and her head. So she would have terrible headaches. She would have crisis episodes in the leg where she wouldn't be able to walk and she'd be wreathing in pain. Wow. She'd have crisis episodes in her back where obviously your back, it's, you know, like it's the lumbar system of your entire body. So when your back hurts, every other part of your body is hurting. And there was a time where she was in hospital, like I think one January, like I think she was in hospital for like the whole month, just in and out of hospital. She'd have a crisis episode, we'd take her to hospital, they'd give her like painkillers, etc. She'd feel better, we'd go back home, another crisis, we're back in hospital. And so having that constant, and this was the case for like a good few years, until we we put her on, the doctors put her on different medication. She was on this medication called hydroxycarbamide. My mum is so funny. The way I remember hydroxycarbamide is because my mum Yorubaizes everything. I'm a Yoruba woman, I'm a Nigerian woman. So my mum, because she never remembers it, she always like finds her own ways. So she used to call it hydrocarbon bamidele.
Wow.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, what?
Wow.
Hydrocarbon bamidele. It's like, what? I remember the first time she said that, I was just like, what's coming home with you? But what? So like it's like, sickle cell can be a very like daunting thing, you know, and it can get very serious talking about it. But I share these little stories of, you know, like the anecdotes of how my family kind of like add a little bit of humor to it, you know, with my mum's mispronunciations and stuff, because all that medical jargon can get very overwhelming, especially to a child, you know, like, and so it's just been a matter of trying to scaffold her understanding of her condition over the years in a way that is digestible to her. I remember when she was younger, like trying to explain a medical condition, a hereditary medical condition to a child that all she knows is, I'm born with this thing, I'm different, I'm in pain, I don't want to why me? Try like constantly having to like navigate that in a way that is, you know, like sensitive and, you know, empathetic, and doesn't, I have a tendency of like words, you know, and so it's something that like I constantly have to like, okay, how can I better explain this to her so that she understands what is going on? So it's honestly, my relationship with her has been one whereby like we grow together, you know, like she grows in her understanding of sickle cell just as I'm growing in my understanding of sickle cell. You know, there are specialists out there who are dedicating their lives to research and, you know, understanding and putting out the information that we need. And so me just trying to like then funnel it down to explain to a 5-year-old, to a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old that is just hates the fact that she's born with this condition, and I'm trying to do it, I'm trying to like articulate it to her in a way that doesn't glamorize it, that doesn't make it, you know, like, wow, this is something that, no, this can be a good thing. It's like, okay, like I also don't, I'm a realist, you know, but at the same time I know how to speak to children, you know. So it was really just about figuring out how best to educate her, but in a way that doesn't make it so doom and gloom, you know. And so like navigating that was just about, you know, laughter. And that's why I satire is my cup of tea. Like I love satire. I love turning something that is otherwise very serious and very, you know, like doom and gloom into something that is, it's still true to the context, but in a way that is like, okay, like this too shall pass kind of thing, you know, like there's another way that we can look at this that will, you know, address it for what it is, but not in a way that is like, okay, like it's not debilitating, you know. So yeah, it was just trying to like navigate that. And, you know, like when I'm talking to young girls and talking to like adults, etc., about sickle cell, like young girls and young boys, it's just about having that kind of like that flexibility to be able to cater it to other people's understanding, you know. So because I know I'm coming from a place of, I know this, I know that, I know this, blah 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 blah, but again, like there are some people who've never heard of sickle cell, and so it's very important to have the conversation with your parents. Like ask your parents, if you don't know your blood type, like mom, dad, or whoever, what is my blood type? What's your blood type? Do you know, like, is it something I need to, you know, like, is there a history of sickle cell in the family? Is there any family member or relative that had sickle cell that I didn't know of? And so, like, just having those conversations, I think our parents try to do the same, where they try to protect us and try to, you know, like, almost bury their head in the sand sometimes in a way that is, like, wishful. It's like, I don't wish this on my child, and so I'm just gonna ignore it, you know. It's like, for me, like I said, I'm a realist. Like, let's talk about what it is we need to talk about. Let's tackle it head on, and like create a environment where it's the norm to talk about, you know.
Absolutely.
No, I really love that. I think a couple of things there in what you were saying. I love what you were talking about, the fact that within a lot of our cultures, especially as, you know, Black folk, West Africans, Caribbeans, etc., whatever, there is a cultural norm of silence, right?
Yeah.
We silence a lot, especially when it comes to medical conditions.
Yeah.
I think because of a couple of reasons. One, because of actually the historical distrust in a lot of these medical institutions
100%.
and a lot of the history that we share, being either victims or being folks that have taken the full brunt of a medical system that's actually not fit for purpose, but particularly as Black women as well.
Yes.
So that's kind of like one side of the equation in terms of having genuine distrust of medical institutions. But then another side is within our culture, sicknesses from mental
Demonized.
health to actual genuine issues that we have, they're completely demonized.
100%.
And I'd like to think that our generation is obviously, you know, the generation that started to talk about these kind of things, but there's still a little bit of taboo when we're having conversations, whether it be in dating, whether it be, you know, with our friends and our family. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on actually navigating conversations in the contemporary space. So for the ladies that, for example, may be a sickle cell carrier and they're now engaging in dating, or they may not be a carrier, in fact they may have sickle cell, like what does that conversation look like now that, you know, thinking about your sister, you know, girl might be dating soon or thinking of dating, in a space where, you know, attitudes are changing, but there is still a culture of taboo. There is still a culture of demonization. How do we now start having these conversations with people bluntly, realistically? What are some of the things that all of us can think about when we're entering into these conversations as well, like realistically, but also transparently?
Yeah. I think what you mentioned earlier about the distrust of, you know, the medical field, especially as Black women, is something that is so like salient to me, because a lot of the medical advances and innovations that we have today, that the West love to boast about, like, you know, that's, you know, this crazy thing. It's like, a lot of them came off the backs of forced experimentation on Black women.
Right.
UCL, University College London, was literally the college that like legitimized eugenics. Like, and that was all off the back of forced experimentation on Black women. And that's what you'll find historically. There's a book called Medical Apartheid. It's this big book,
Chunky.
which catalogues the history of forced experimentation on African American bodies, from, you know, like a few hundred years ago to current day. It's something that I still haven't started it, because I already know so much, because I made it my business. Like, I went through this, like, you know, when everyone was like pro-Black. In the early, that was it. That was it. And it felt like I was angry. Oh, I was so angry. Because, and it's not even just, you know, Black women that are experiencing. This is what happens to indigenous cultures. This is what happens to people in war-torn countries.
Right.
People take advantage of the most vulnerable, of the people who are least protected, and they quite literally do whatever it is they want. And so the history of, you know, medical racism, which is another thing that plays a significant role in the way sickle cell is handled, is something that is 100% valid. It's like having that distrust of the medical industry that has been built off the bodies and off the backs of enslaved, you know, like Black women and Black men and Black children. Like, yeah, that's completely understandable. And so when your concerns are coming from a place of that, I completely understand that. And I think that's something that we need to maneuver around with sensitivity, you know, like, it's completely understandable. You not wanting to donate blood because of terrible experiences within a racist medical institution is completely valid and it's completely fair, you know. And so I don't want to approach the importance of blood donation and sickle cell advocacy from that place of, oh, like, you should do it, you know what I mean? Like, yes, you should do it, but like, at the end of the day, it's your body. If you're not there are other ways that you can advocate, that you can, you know, you can talk about it. Like I said, I don't live with sickle cell myself, but I'm still advocating for it, you know. even in the year that I wasn't able to donate blood, I was still getting other people to donate blood, you know, on my behalf, you know, like, but I think that not having a trust of the, you know, of the process is understandable, but that's why it's so important to talk about it. You know, donating blood is so very easy. You literally walk into a blood donation clinic, you book an appointment. Often you can literally just walk in or call, make an appointment prior. You answer the health questionnaire. They ask you a bunch of questions. The questions range from travel, your recent sexual experiences, and a bunch of, you know, like medications and stuff and pre-existing medical conditions. You fill that out. Once you're finished, you're taken into a room by a nurse. They prick your index just a little bit just to get a drop of blood. They put it into, I think maybe like an iodine solution or something that tests the level of iron. Depending on how quickly the drop of blood sinks or sinks to the bottom of the cylinder or whatever, of the tube, determines whether or not you're able to donate blood. It measures your iron levels, but they're revisiting the levels of iron that women need, and they're lowering it because obviously women are cyclical. We're very cyclical, you know, so you can't have the same expectation of bodies who are constantly in a cycle of bleeding, you know. And so they're more considerate of that. So there are things that are happening that there are changes being made to the blood donation process that makes it even easier for people to donate and makes it less likely that people are turned away from donating blood. I think the taboo around and the mysticism around medical conditions and health is something that greatly holds back every community. If there is something that is rampant almost amongst your community and you're not addressing it from a place of genuine curiosity and genuine intrigue and information, and you're mystifying it and you're demonizing it, who is that benefiting? Who is that benefiting? How can you claim to be for the community? How can you claim to care about a community and you're stigmatizing and you're silencing people, often women, about conditions that we are going through? You're silencing the community about a condition that affects so many people. I hear so many stories of people who have lost children because it wasn't disclosed that they had sickle cell, and the rest of the family didn't know. And there was a story that a friend of mine shared where I think it was her, basically a nephew of hers passed away because the mother passed away. Shortly after the mother passed away, because the child had sickle cell, but she did not tell the husband. And that's what happens when people internalize the shame that is projected onto a condition as common. Because again, it's the fastest growing genetic condition in the UK, and that is in no small part due to the stigmatization and the demonization of it. You know, it's not a curse. It's not anything. It's not a punishment for anything. And I so much resent any attitudes around it being something that is, that is a curse or is a punishment or is a this or it's no. It is a very common condition that can be treated with, not even just treated, that can be completely avoided. Going to the GP and pressing them about finding out your blood type and your genotype is very, 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 very important. And I know it's not easy. Obviously the NHS is overwhelmed. I used to work in the NHS. Overwhelmed.
Messy.
And when you're contextualizing things like medical racism, where, Black women are even stepping outside of sickle cell for a minute, Black women are 3 times more likely to die from maternal mortality. medical racism because Black women's pains just aren't listened to.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about children, Black children that are already adultified. Like, it's not fair. And so anyone who is speaking from a place of ignorance, from a place of over spiritualizing a condition that is like so many people's lived realities, and you're silencing a whole community. It's terrible, and you need to stop. And I think people need to have the discernment to be able to know when to listen to somebody and when not to listen to somebody that you perceive as being more knowledgeable than you. Always listen to the medical professionals, always. And I think people trivialize expertise too much nowadays because there is so much conjecture. People think just because they have neon lights in the background and you're an expert. No, you cannot be. Do not let the smokes and mirrors twang you into, believing and internalizing something negative about a condition that everyone should be talking about.
Yes.
Because it's so common. I have a question. Do any of you have indirect experience with sickle cell? Do you have anyone in your family who has sickle cell or what?
Yeah, so I have friends. I have friends who have sickle cell, and I think watching the experience of it, especially when they go into crisis, that's what helped me to take it a lot more seriously. So I think I became friends with somebody who carries sickle cell in 2017, and up until that point I actually hadn't really heard of it. I'd heard of like anemia, but I didn't know about sickle cell. And so to learn more about the condition and then to see how it actually affected someone in real life, I was like, yeah, there's actually something we can do more broadly as a community. But what shocked me was how hard it is to do something about it, in the sense that, and I don't know, I think it's changing over time. More people are becoming blood donors and things like that. The information is getting out, but to do something as simple as getting your genotype or understanding your blood group, if you are not pregnant or if you are not, a carrier or somebody who's like, there's sickle cell in my family, why is it so hard for me to find out what my blood group is? Why is it so hard for me to find out what my genotype is? And it's like, people think just because you gave this information to my parents once when I was a baby, that 28 years later, when I'm preparing to get married, they will have this information. They don't have that. So now I've got to go and find out by myself, and I don't understand why it's so hard for such an advanced medical system in the UK. Why is it so hard for me to understand that information, especially if you know how damaging it can be, how much it can be prevented, and how much it's growing as well. Like, if all of these components are very much there for you to see, surely there should be just a small arrangement I can make at my GP for them to do what you said, prick my finger and give me this information.
Like, how has it been for you trying to find out your genotype? Like, what is the process been? Because I already know that I'm AA, so tell us that, because it can be very difficult. Very difficult.
Tell these people I am having a baby. I am having a baby. I need you to give me this information literally now. And that's the only way.
You actually have to threaten them with family planning.
Exactly. Why do I have to threaten you with family planning when I'm trying to plan? I'm actually trying to plan.
Ideally
I'm
before.
actually trying to plan before this happens. And I think that's another part of the contradiction and the confusion. Why do I have to wait until I am carrying a baby before you tell me whether this baby is at risk of sickle cell? Surely this is, and then I think they'll present to you something. Obviously this hasn't been my experience because I haven't conceived yet, but like hearing from other women, okay, I had to tell them that I was having a baby, or I had to wait till I was having a baby to get that information. And then once they found out something, then they present you with the option of termination. Is that not also a very traumatic thing to introduce to somebody? So if this whole thing is preventable, let's just go back a couple months and just say, hey, if you are planning a family, come in. You don't have to construct some wild story around, oh, I'm pregnant already, I'm thinking about it. Just get your blood tested. I think that would also help a lot more people to feel comfortable, I think, with the idea of blood donation.
Yes,
because
100%.
they don't have that relationship with this idea of their blood. Like, we go to the doctor for so many things, like our physical body and all of that. But if I also knew I can go to the doctor for them to analyze something in my blood, I feel like that would help somebody be more comfortable donating it, because they understand it more, and it's a lot more normalized. Exactly.
And that's
it's
the main
a lot
thing,
more demystified.
you know, like it's crazy that like sickle cell is literally the fastest growing genetic condition in the UK.
Insane.
And people are having to threaten GPs with babies in order to find out their blood. Like, that's terrible.
As
terrible.
As if it would not cost you more to treat sickle cell, not in a bad way, but like it's going to cost you more than to give somebody a test. It's that simple. So why are not putting it in place? Is it because it affects ethnic minorities more? Is it because you guys don't?
That's my conspiracy.
You don't want to legitimize like genuine problems for a community. I just think it's so frustrating. It's so the more you learn about it, the more you're like, why is this such a systemic problem? Because it's a systemic thing.
And so like, it's like, sorry, before we get on to it. So like, trying to imagine how frustrating it is when you're trying to find out that, you know, like trying to find out your blood type. And then now imagine it from the perspective of a child that has been born due to, you know, that has been born with this condition, and then finding out that when my parents wanted to find out if, you know, like this relationship is something that they have to painfully like say goodbye to or not. You're finding out that, the GP the doctors they didn't really care to, you know, like to help your parents understand this condition, even outside of the family planning thing. Like, it's even for you, like, this is important information to know about yourself, regardless of whether or not you want children. Because even people who are AS blood type, so sickle cell is like I said, it's a genetic condition. Just for the people who may not know, it's a genetic condition, and it is passed on from two AS blood type parents. So both of my parents are AS, something they found out later on after having children, etc. They found out that they were AS, and so the possibility and the likability of their children being carriers, being AS. So AS are carriers of the sickle cell trait, and SS is full-blown sickle cell carrier. So the possibility and the likelihood of their children being carriers and having sickle cell full blown is very, very high. And so if this is something that we know can be very, very detrimental, we know it is it's fast growing, and we know that it is preventable with very simple, you know, preliminary like exams and tests. Why is it so hard?
That's the golden
you know?
question.
Why is it so hard? Why is it not treated as more of a priority than what it has
NHS,
been? You know, like we can't do like a screening.
We need some answers.
You know, like, and when people are coming to try to find out their blood types, why are you making them jump through hoops?
Especially because,
and then they'll now come and be shouting on the black community. Oh, black community don't care. Black community don't do this. We're being systemically failed, babes. Structurally failed, babes. And that's why, like, I always like start these conversations acknowledging the fact that the black community are really trying. But when there are the main thing that we can do to help better manage and monitor this condition is out of our hands, because it's at the end of the day we are at the mercy of medical professionals. When we're constantly being failed, how much is a conversation, like, as important as conversation is and awareness is, we need the infrastructure, we need the actual medical change, you know? So like, it's just constantly like having to remind people to put the pressure on their doctors, on their GP, and just like, you just have to. You have to. It is too important. And I think, like, I know we're gonna get onto dating, but even like when I'm going on dates with people, I'm like, what's your blood type?
Yeah, real.
I'm not even AS. I still want to know if you know your blood type, because I need to know how much about yourself it is you're privy to. You know, like these things matter. And even if, you know, like the dating or relationship doesn't you know, like develop into anything more, I at least know that this person now knows their blood type, and so they can make better informed decisions when it comes to, you know, like dating and who it is you're dating. You know, like all my brothers they've already had that conversation. They already know that, okay, cool, like what's your blood type? Do you know? Because they're all AS, so it's very important. You can't like, love is not enough. Love is not enough.
Hello.
Let's please
Let's be guided.
Let's be guided.
Let's be so
Oh,
guided.
my sister.
It's too stressful.
Let's be guided.
I think everything that you've been saying is so pertinent, because I think for me, my awareness of, I guess, medical conditions and all that kind of stuff was actually facilitated out of my mom's traumatic experiences with the NHS. So it's so like, yeah, pertinent that you were speaking about like maternal conditions, etc. Because my mom had the most terrible experience when she was carrying my younger sisters, to the point where this whole idea of like not believing Black women when they're in pain, when they're going through all of sorts of conditions, etc. So my younger sisters are twins, and when my mom was carrying my younger sisters, she was in a lot of pain. She was just like, it was a hell of a pregnancy, to the point where they actually thought that she was dead. And, you know, they carried her off to mortuary, everything, but she was actually still alive. And it was only when they did, it's so traumatic. It was only when they did the checks afterwards, like, oh, you know, preparing the body, all that kind of stuff, they realized this lady was still breathing. Yes.
It's insane.
When I say a wild and wicked story, and it was because of that experience, my mom has been very, like, probably more so than most, she's been very like, you need to know everything about your body. Like when it comes to, you know, going to the doctor, she has these like little red books that she still keeps in that suitcase. You know when they have, when they got them little them red books and whatnot that she'll keep in like suitcases and top of the wardrobe and stuff like that, just in case of anything. She was like, you need to know from birth till like now, this is how much you weighed, these are the genetic conditions that you had. Obviously, a lot of screenings for different things were not available at that time, so we're still finding out information about ourselves that we didn't know, whether it's, you know, whether you're anemic, whether it is you have like blood conditions and all that kind of stuff. So for me, pretty early on, I was very aware of, okay, medical conditions, screenings, that kind of stuff. But it was only, you know, entering into like dating, conversations with friends, realizing that, okay, this is actually information that not everybody is privy to. And it's a shame that this is information I'm privy to only as a result of close proximity to a traumatic incident. And I think that really is the big issue within the Black community, that we only become aware of a lot of issues that are facing our community through trauma. Whether it is maternal trauma, whether it is trauma that we have experienced at the hands of medical professionals through genetic concerns, the fact, you know, even the fact that we have to beg to be screened for certain things. Even when we think about we've had discussions on this podcast about a whole host of, you know, birth-related conditions that women have, reproductive system-related conditions. Going with friends and having to beg doctors, can you give a screening for things like fibroids, which disproportionately affect Black women? I think the thread that is running through this conversation is just how unfortunate it is that sometimes the responsibility is disproportionately on the Black community to advocate for something that is so predominant within our community. And yes, I understand that obviously within the UK we're a small population, so like 3 to 4% of the population. I think we see that with a lot of other oppressed groups, whereby our realities and the things that affect us do not become important until we make enough noise about it. And I think being not just Black, but also a woman as well, it even adds, you know, fire to the flames that are already happening, because as women, we're treated very differently when it comes to, you know, medical norms and professions. Our bodies are fundamentally understudied within the medical profession
and
already.
Apparently always up for debate.
Always up for debate. We're literally treated like mini men in a lot of our clinical trials and a lot of the just the established norms that we have about the human body, to now add, oh, I'm an ethnic minority. Oh, it's given double jeopardy. It's given, I have to constantly rationalize that I'm in pain. I have to constantly rationalize that these are issues that I am facing. I have to constantly rationalize whether I believe my body of the pain that I'm experiencing. And I think that it's such a shame that it's not just something that is existing on the outside, but it's now something that, as you mentioned, we're starting to internalize. So it's I don't really want to address this issue because I don't want to believe that it's real. It's I don't want to have the conversation when, dating and stuff, because it's quite awkward. And I don't want to be the person that's stigmatized within such a small subset community that we're in already. In the dating field. And let's not be ignorant of the fact that dating is actually in hell right now. So to now want to say, to add another, I'm trying to think of, it's another thing to think about, another thing to worry about. On top of this guy,
everything.
On top of this guy saying, are you going 50-50 on dates? Now I have to worry about whether, our offspring, whether there's a fighting chance. And it's like, to have these conversations side by side is genuinely depressing.
It's exhausting.
It's
exhausting. And I think that's why it's so important to contextualize the failures of the system, because it is not for lack of care. It's not because Black people are ignorant of this and Black people don't care. No, babes, it's racism. It's medical racism, babes. If no one will say it, I will say it's medical racism, because it does not make sense. No other condition that is this common gets so little intervention, gets so little space to improve, to give people a fighting chance. Some people, some parents don't even know that they are AS until they've had the children, and then the children are living with this condition that they had no idea about, and so it's it's not just an irresponsibility thing. It's not for lack of desire or care. People just don't know. And so for the people that don't know, because how else do you know unless someone is talking to you about it and someone is bringing it up to you? And so that's why I've been talking about sickle cell so casually. I'm just like, oh yeah, no, I donate blood. Do you donate blood? Yeah, no, I'm a sickle cell advocate. Yeah, sickle cell. Well, sickle cell is and I'm just there, just talking to everyone, because
it's necessary.
It's just important. I think, I don't want anyone to go through what I experienced with my sister. It was preventable. It was preventable. Her death was so preventable. And it was down to medical negligence in part, because we took her to the GP when she was maybe a day or so before she passed. And they didn't do anything. They didn't even do any tests.
Wow.
They didn't even do any tests, knowing that this child has a pre-existing genetic condition. You don't even think to do a blood test. And that is just that's the state of the NHS. That is the state of medical racism. And I think also when our parents, they're still learning these systems and these ways of being as well. And I think when they have, because they often do it comparatively to their countries of origin, comparing the healthcare in general healthcare in Nigeria to the UK, you feel wow, at least I'm able, it might take a while, but at least I'm able to get an appointment, and I'm not having to pay out of pocket for it, and blah blah blah. So they feel they're even more trusting of the system that continues to fail them, because they're comparing it to a system that doesn't even care to hide that it doesn't. Do you have money? It's literally do you have money? Then you can die. Literally, So I think when it's just about having those conversations, and it's annoying that so much of the responsibility comes down to the community to advocate for ourselves, and especially in a time where community is not as easy to nurture and to find.
Absolutely.
We live in this late stage capitalist system where the role of the community is dwindling more and more, because the community are tired. everybody is tired.
Yeah.
We're all tired.
Yeah.
Everyone is tired. People are struggling. People are struggling with 2-3 jobs and they still can't make
Exactly.
Ends
the bill.
meet.
They still can't make ends
Exactly.
meet.
Crazy work.
There is a fundamental problem with the system.
Yes.
And I think it's very important to highlight that so that people don't falsely think that they are the only ones responsible.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. It is
Like it's
systemic.
very, very important. It's like similar to when people are talking about poverty.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like you cannot plan or budget your way out of systems
Say it
of
again.
poverty.
Say it
What are we
again.
not understanding?
Yeah.
Financial literacy. What's financial literacy gonna do for someone that's broke, someone that is literally impoverished?
Yeah, and existing in a
Like
system
what?
that
Do you know
keeps
how
them that way.
expensive
Yeah.
it is to be poor?
Exactly.
It is
Exactly.
it is expensive to be impoverished.
Yeah.
That's the system we're up against.
Terrible stuff.
And now we're introducing medical conditions into it, and then on top of that we have the layer of medical racism, and then on top of that we have cultural and social attitudes towards this, and then we have
enough.
taboo, and then we have
Yeah.
conspiracy of science. Come
Yeah.
on, man, it's a lot.
It's too much.
It's a lot.
It's
and
way
so
too much.
you know
Too
what I mean? And so
much.
I think it's just about like highlighting what it is we're able to highlight, advocate in the ways that we're able to advocate, whether that's sharing information, and whether that's speaking on your own experiences with, you know, like with sickle cell, or trying to find out your blood type, or trying to do family planning, just speaking. And so much social change happens when the most marginalized and the most neglected of a society are listened to, because it benefits everybody.
100%.
Even like free school meals.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Panthers were the ones that conceived of feeding children.
Imagine what a revolutionary
Literally.
concept.
And they're called
Literally.
revolutionaries because they feed kids.
Feeding
That was a social movement that the Black Panthers started. Obviously, the Black Panthers have their own misogynist, their own sexist. You know, we're not gonna gloss over that. You know, but they were the organizations that started this. It was adopted by the American government, and it became a thing. Standard. People benefit, but when you have a society that is empathetic, damn it, apathetic towards the struggles and the needs of a marginalized group of people, simply because you've internalized such negative confirmation biases against them, you don't know you're shooting yourself in the foot. You don't know you're shooting yourself in the foot. If something as common as sickle cell is afforded to be able to slip through the cracks of medical screening and proper medical intervention and attention, what do you think that means for so many other conditions as well?
Yeah.
And that's what we are facing. Yeah. The precedence has been set when you are constantly neglecting a marginalized group of people, the most marginalized group of people. When you've set the precedence that their life doesn't matter, their health isn't a concern, their development is none of your business, what do you think that is? Like, you are setting a precedence. And so if you're allowing that to happen to this group of people, they're now understanding that, okay, so it's not the act, it's the people that we're doing it to. And so that's how you're now getting all these different marginalized groups having their rights stripped away, because you've already set the precedence with Black folk. You've already set the precedence. And so they're taking away more and more people's rights, people's care, because they know that they can get away with it. And it's terrible. And so that's why, like, it's unfortunate again that we having to do so much when we should be able we should be able to focus on just living and just enjoying life. Like, we shouldn't have to worry about, like, it's a shame that so many connections are will not be able to be explored because of all these things that we have to consider. But for me, it is something that is I'm always going to put the kids first. Like, I'm always going to put the health of my community first. You know, like, that's something that I care about. And there's so many other things that I care about, but I'm only one person. We're only one person, you know, like, and so for me, it's like, well, I'm going to choose to really fight for something that I care about, that has affected me. And I'm going to do what I can to make sure that, you know, like, people are listening and people aren't being impacted the same way I am. Because like, I used to have panic attacks because of the thought of my sister, of Rebecca, not making it to 10. Because my sister Elizabeth died at 9. And so like, I would have literal panic attacks, like the few months, I'm getting so emotional, like the few months leading up to Becky's like 10th birthday, I was a mess. I was a wreck. Because I just didn't know if she was going to turn 10. 10. Because I, like, the trauma of just randomly losing my sister when she was 9, it's not something I've completely healed from. And it's something that I will never heal from, because how do you reconcile with losing someone so close to you in such on a random day? How do you reconcile that, you know? And then like growing up and learning that it's not a unique story. My story is not unique. There are so many people who have lost their siblings, lost their parents, lost their loved ones because of this condition that is being stigmatized, that is being over spiritualized, that is being made into like such a taboo, when it's like, no, this is people's lives. This has such a knock-on effect. My sister passing has had such a ripple effect on me, because now this is my life now. Do you know what I mean? And like, in dedicating myself to that and creating a purpose around, you know, like advocacy and things like that, more people in my community are donating blood. And so like, that is just, for me, it's like, her life is so significant and so impactful and so important that it's not just that we lost one life. You know, like, I wouldn't be able to tell you I wouldn't be able to articulate how much her one life has meant to me. And so my way of trying to get people to understand that is by advocating about this. Like, she meant so much to me that the thought of not talking about something that took her from me just does not make any sense to me. Like, I need people to understand and to feel just how important this girl was to me. And so for me, like, advocacy is a way to keep her memory alive. Obviously, it's a way to honor her, but also it's like, it's the right thing to do. You know, like, it's just the right thing to do. When she passed, I literally was like, she passed away with 2% blood left in her body.
Wow.
That's not enough for anything. Of course she was going to die. How did she get to 2% blood? And she went to the GP a few days, like, how did that happen? And then, you know, like, finding out all these things around her death, you know, like later on, I'm just like, huh? What? Like, and so to me, it's like, had I have had more information, had my parents had spoken more openly about it and given us more information. Obviously, they had their own things that, like, it's a lot, and they themselves didn't know just how serious it was. You know, like, we knew that it was serious up to the point of crisis episode, to her being in hospital, but it didn't really hit that, oh, like, this thing is deadly until she passed away. And so learning all these things, you know, surrounding her death, is like, had I have known, I would have called the ambulance. I would have, you know, like, I would have done more, you know. And so it's that it's not necessarily guilt, because I know that obviously, like, I was a child, and you know, like, I didn't know any more than my parents had told me, you know, because they were the ones who were dealing with the condition with her. And, you know, we obviously knew to make sure that, you know, she was hydrated and she was eating, and, you know, to monitor her. But the severity and the gravity of the condition was not fully understood. And so now with my advocacy, that's literally just what it is. I'm trying to, like, get people to understand this is deadly. Like, it is so important to talk about it, and before it gets to the point whereby it's deadly. Like, I want to get to a point where sickle cell is no longer deadly. It's not deadly, because the right medical intervention is, you know, is being offered freely and appropriately before it even gets to that point. And you know, if it does get to that point, when it does get to that point, no problem, it's not a deadly thing. Why? Because we have all these different measures in place to, you know, to address it. Bone marrow transplant, a lot of people don't know about bone marrow transplants and how effective it is in essentially curing sickle cell. Like, me and my I did a match with I matched with my sister Rebecca. So I'm going to be her bone marrow donor. So everyone in the family got tested. This is something that she's been wanting to do for you know, a while, and it was a option that was presented because her case was, she was in hospital quite a lot. So, and it's only done for, you know, like, really serious cases often, but most of the time. But finding out about bone marrow transplant and getting the test, and it being that, you know, I was the one who matched with my sister, I was just like, well, yeah, of course, that's my girl, like, that's my daughter, like, literally, like, who else would be her match, like, please, you know. So, like, knowing that me and her have another level of connection is like, okay, cool, like, I wasn't able to help my other sister, but I'm able to help her. And not only am I able to help her, I'm also able to help so many other people, like, start having the conversations and give them the information that they need to understand the condition for themselves, and, you know, just, like, encourage people to have the conversation, and to just, like, not see it as something that is, you know, that you need to be quiet about, or something that is like, oh, it's personal, it's, you know, like, it's taboo, sorry, you know, because of course it is personal, and it always will be personal, but we create meaning in community and in sharing and in being able to relate to each other, you know. So me being, you know, open and vulnerable about my trauma, my loss, and my grief, etc., it has done a lot for a lot of people. And so, like, okay, cool, well, if I'm going to be feeling this grief anyways, I might as well, you know, like, channel it into advocacy and do something that will make real, like, measurable you know, change, you know. So yeah, like, it's just very important to me, you know.
That's so beautiful.
Well done. And thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably as well, because these are stories that we don't hear, but can change so much for our community. And I think the beautiful thing about what you do is you help people to realize that, like you said, this is not something that we should stigmatize in our community. This doesn't need to have all these smokes and mirrors around it. Honestly, this is something that we should be talking about way more often. And whilst there is personal agency, there is a need for us to kind of ring that alarm for institutions to get involved. And you've been so consistent with your advocacy, and your sister's life, her story is changing so much through you. So well done, and keep it up, because like Renee was saying earlier, it's not easy to be a light on social media. It's not even easy sometimes to be the hopeful one, or the advocate, or that person in your family, let alone in the public square. So well done for being so consistent with your message, right? And so powerful with it as well. And yeah, we're behind the cause in terms of, like, raising awareness, but also really prompting every single person listening to this to do a few things. Like if you can get tested in any way, listen, child, concoct your story now.
Honestly,
just be putting something together right now to take to your GP. But also if you can find kind of like a blood drive or anything near you, go and give blood. And Shia, it would be amazing for you to tell us kind of some of the work that you've been doing with different organizations alongside the NHS, but different organizations to help further this cause, just so that as a community we can tap in as well.
So I am like, the most pressing thing right now is I am about to start a national campaign. Oh my god, you're so big. But I'm about to start like a national campaign around trying to get more blood donors from Black heritage backgrounds to register to donate blood, even if it's just a one-time thing. That one donation can save up to 3 adult lives or 6 young lives. I think that's incredible. And I just don't see it as something that is so daunting, for people who are already considering donating blood and are able to donate blood and want to donate blood. I don't consider it as something that is doesn't need all of this around, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to donate blood. Like, there was one time my parking, I had maybe 30 minutes left on my parking. I went and donated blood. I was like, might as well donate blood. Do you know what I mean? So I went and donated blood. But I'm going to be launching a national campaign to try to get more Black donors, Black blood donors. So currently the NHS when I first conceived of this, the NHS needed around 12,000 new blood donors from Black heritage backgrounds. Now it's 16,000. Again, because it's the fastest growing genetic condition in the UK. And even though, the community are doing great and, showing up, there's more that is needed, it's an ongoing thing. So I'm going to be going around the country, doing interviews and just kind of sharing my story, and advocating for the importance of blood donation. I've got interviews lined up already, radio and stuff like that. So I'm just looking to make as much noise as possible and just get the message across, because I have a very well engaged community that really do care about me and the things that I care about, which is love you guys. But just because I think this is the kind of noise that needs to be made regarding this, the fact that there are now 16,000 new donors from Black heritage backgrounds that are needed is crazy, especially considering we're 3% of the population. It's crazy, you know. But I just want, even if we don't reach the 16,000 goal, even if it's just 10, that's still new. That's still 10 new blood donors. Do you know what I mean? It's still something. But obviously, we are high achievers. We're gonna get it.
Period. Come on. Period.
So I'm just gonna be going around the country, interviewing and just kind of talking about the importance of blood donation and just kind of just having the conversation, as well as obviously still doing the work that I do with the NHS and other charities like ACLT, etc. And just kind of just create that communal energy and that communal mobilization to get people into the blood donation clinics. There's a gorgeous new clinic that opened in Brixton recently, and I've been there. I'm yet to donate there because I had already donated before going there. So I, with blood donation for women, it's every 3 months. So the minute the next, my 3 months is up, boop, I'm back donating again. So I'm going to be working on that campaign. I want to be doing interviews, TV, whatever it is, just kind of getting people to talk about it outside of, any just because, you know, like it doesn't need to be tied to, you're talking about Super Cell and how amazing that was, you know, about creating conversation around sickle cell, and it was amazing. And I just want us to continue the work outside. Like we don't need to tie it to anything other than the fact that it's needed.
It doesn't
you know,
need
it's
to be
necessary.
a trend.
You know
It's
what I
just
mean?
necessary,
So it's a really ambitious campaign. But I think we can do it. I think we can get 16,000 new Black heritage donors. I think it's very possible, you know, like, and I just think it's something that, especially in times like this, where, you know, there's so much that is uncertain, you know, we're literally in a recession.
Say it again.
You know,
potentially on the brink of war.
You know what I mean?
Say it again.
But I think the thing that will always bring people together is community. And having that kind of like, having that call for community and call to community, I think that will be really, really mobilizing for people. And you know, if I can use my platform, etc., as, you know, like continue to use it as like, you know, a form of, as one catalyst for change, and I'm gonna do that, you know. So I'm working on that, and just kind of like working with other charities, and I just care, you know what I mean? Like that's honestly just it. Like I don't want to, when I say that I care about something or someone, like it's like I will quite literally give my blood because I care so much. I'm literally like giving my blood to my community every 3 months, you know. And I just want people to just get into that habit of understanding that blood donation, it's nothing scary. Like I think my last donation, I had my headphones in. By the time I had even decided the playlist I wanted to listen to, the donation was done. It's very quick. It's very easy. You get a little treat at the end of it. You know, the nurses monitor you for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes afterwards, just to make sure that, you know, like you're not lightheaded, you're not feeling dizzy or anything, because you're you know, getting a lot of blood removed, but you'll make it back. It's not, literally. It's something that is like, it is an endless regenerating. Like it's very regenerating. And so for me, it's like, if my body's already going to make it back, what is giving someone who's going to need it, you know, like it's going to save the life of a pregnant woman who's just had a difficult labor. It's going to help the life of someone of a child battling with blood, you know, cancer, leukemia, or just whatever it is needed. You know, so when every time you donate blood, you get this like little text saying, oh, thank you for your donation. Your donation has been used at whatever hospital. That's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Nice. It's just like, okay, cool. Like I know that, like you can track it, you can trace it. Like like my blood has been used to help someone in a random hospital. You don't know what their story is, but people are already going through so much. And I think that something like this, helping remind people that a community, like there is community, people will come to help if you ask for it. You know. I think it's just important to highlight that and really emphasize the importance of community, especially during these times. Like we need to rely on each other. We need to like lean in on each other a lot more, you know, in order to, you know, benefit from community. You need to give to community as well. So, you know, like I'm working on that campaign. So I'm going to be all around, you know, like different radio stations and stuff. So like, I just want to be like, I'm trying to get as many. Honestly, like it's just like, it's crazy. 16,000 new blood donors. Like there are people who will need a blood exchange or blood transfusion, people living with sickle cell, and they can't have it because there's not enough blood. Isn't that like,
it's serious.
People have died because they have been turned away because there's not enough blood. And one person donating could have prevented that.
Well, we believe that you'll do it. 16,000, even more. And literally, we are imploring every single person watching this, if you can, do it. Like it's quite simple. Do it. Easy. Find out how you can do it as well. And if you're not in because I think with things like this, when you give like a call to action like that, people may find out, oh, I'm not eligible. You might not be eligible right now, but you might be in a year or so. So keep this in your mind as well as something that you might be working towards, because it's something our community needs. And I really love that you emphasize that at this time in particular, we need community more than ever. And we're behind you. as you go on this tour, we really do pray for you that your message will only be amplified and that you will only exceed the goals that you have set as well, and just may all the right people and right organizations align with you, and may your change actually affect systems as well, because it's one thing for us to have our conversations in our community, it's another for systems like the NHS and infrastructures and institutions to actually be changed, and your voice carries so much power that it will do that. It will change those spaces. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing.
Thank you so much.
This has been such a good and necessary episode, and hopefully we can have you back. Maybe you can tell us all about
please.
your
I would love to have you guys
on
my show as well. Like
we will be there.
Like I'm starting a
the back call.
Pod
Hold on a minute. Tell them.
It's
exclusive.
It's called Sayo Says. Right, I love alliteration. I'm not gonna lie, and I love the assonance of it. So I was like, so it's called Sayo Says, and it's basically just, you know, like having conversations about different things, you know, like about life, you know, boundaries and love, dating, taboos and stuff. I'm very much an open book. And I think that is what that's what I gravitate towards as well. Like I love having conversations with people and not feeling like it's I can't talk about this. You know, like society is not in our conversation, we're just having a conversation. You know what I mean? So like it's gonna be really, really fun. Sayo Says, still waiting for, you know, like to finalize the date, but it's coming out soon. I wrote a jingle. I love jingles.
Oh, it's a production already.
We trust you.
Let's do it.
Let's do
it. Yeah, whenever you're ready, we will be there. We'll be there.
100%.
And genuinely keep doing what you are doing.
I will.
Honestly. Yeah. Wow. What an episode.
Ladies, we must say it's hot. It is 34 degrees over at the To My Sisters HQ.
But it was worth it.
Yeah, we
are
so
worth it.
Impacted, sweaty, low-key dying.
Damp.
Honestly. We are damp, but we are so much
I was
more
actually
knowledgeable.
fighting back, reaching from the...
No, do you think
That's the real...
There's a bead of sweat that's been absorbed by the scarf.
Ladies, there's at least 4 different types of lighting that are beaming on us in this hot weather with the window that is closed. I know the production team is in the back like, y'all
Imagine they're wearing all
gonna
black.
have to resuscitate us. But we hope this conversation resuscitated you.
Yeah, honestly, we hope that this has been a real blessing in your life. We know so many people are going to be listening to this conversation from different vantage points and perspectives as well. Whether you are somebody with sickle cell, whether you are impacted by sickle cell, as Sayo's story, like people in your family, someone in your family, a friend, or maybe you don't have any like immediate contact with it, but you're really curious. I love that word that you use, curiosity. We are going to leave some resources down below to help you get educated, more aware, and also support no matter what perspective you are coming from. So open up the YouTube description. We'll also leave some information for you to get connected to the wonderful Sayo. Honestly, a beam of joy. And girl, you are hot with a capital T. If you want to see some black beauty, or if you want to see some black beauty on your phone, on your mobile device, you need to follow this hot little thing. So we're going to leave all of her information down below. And honestly, keep the conversation going. Drop us a comment, like this video, follow the podcast, just whatever you can do. And yeah, we know that you're a very supportive bunch as well. So anything you can do to support, please keep doing it. Follow us on all places on social media at To My Sisterhood, and you can sign up to our mailing list on the To My Sisters website, which is tomysisters.com. And I'm sure in our mailing list we can actually direct people to support you in different ways as well, in terms of the campaign that you are doing. So we will put that in there and you can get tapped in. But until then, sisters, we love you. We want you to stay healthy, we want you to stay well, and so we bid you adieu. Okay, as always, keep glowing and growing.
Love you. Bye, sister. Bye.